We've got a starting quarterback in Provo. Jake Hatch of Locked On BYU Cougars is here to discuss Bear Bachmeier. True freshman is being handed the reins. And Jake, I have heard plenty from BYU fans, some of whom, okay, let me rephrase, most of whom are very upset with me for my take on BYU and that I don't think the magic gets repeated. You're starting a true freshman at quarterback. And you know what? Jake Retzloff surprised me last year. I haven't tried to hide behind that incorrect take, but Retzloff at least had starting experience somewhere. Bachmeier's going to take his first snap this season. I mean, does this give you any pause at all?
Oh, absolutely. Come on. There's always the unknown because this last time this kid took snaps, he was in high school, Spencer. He's not going to be playing at the Power 4 level. Now, the season opener for BYU is Portland State, which is one of the worst teams in the FCS level, particularly the Big Sky Conference. So it's a soft landing for him. But yes, it is a crazy thought that he is 19 years old. He's never taken a snap in Division I football, and he's BYU starting quarterback.
Yeah, the Portland State angle is something that BYU fans should feel really good about. Not everybody has an easy first game. Yeah. You know, one of the more interesting games on BYU's schedule, I think, is when they play Colorado. I believe they have that game on the road in Boulder. That's going to be a really fun Mountain Time kickoff. And Colorado starts this year with Georgia Tech, who is my top dark horse team in the ACC. I have them power rated number 4. That would be a rude entrance into college football if you're Bear Bachmeier. And I think that helps at least a little. But, you know, you've said before you think BYU starts 5-0 with the games they have early on. It does work out very favorably. I think they're winning at least 3 or 4, maybe 5 of their first games there. But what's your confidence level that Bear Bachmeier can, wearing number 47, which, oh man, we might have to do a whole portion of the segment on that. What's your confidence level that Bear Bachmeier is going to be the starting quarterback at BYU, 5-0 and maybe ranked inside the top 25?
I think there's a decent odds because the opening slate is Portland State, home to Stanford, at East Carolina, at Colorado, home to West Virginia, and then at Arizona, I believe, is the first 6 games. And it's about as soft of a opening 6 games you could hope for if you're BYU. And it's not any fault of their own. That's just the way the schedule broke for them. So they're going to take advantage of this. And I would expect, Spencer, I would say 5-1 seems like a realistic scenario here. And even at 5-1, BYU should be ranked in the top 25 easily, considering they're one spot out of the top 25 right now.
Let's not overlook the fact that week 2 is what we're dubbing Bachmeier's revenge at the farm, because the situation at Stanford, I don't know if you've talked about him on your podcast to BYU fans, but the situation's about as unique as you can get. Every single social post I see from Stanford football has Andrew Luck in it, and that's not by accident. And he looks like the head coach. He's not. It's Frank Reich. Okay. I hope he's not the long-term answer there for Stanford's sake. This could be a really rough season for the Cardinal, who are starting Oregon State legend Ben Gulbranson at quarterback. And, you know, Gulbranson was indeed the architect of a famous comeback against my Ducks in 2022. And by architect, I mean he kept handing the ball off because Oregon State completed like 7 passes in the game and still won, and completed a 20-plus point comeback. It wasn't Dan Lanning's finest moment. But that game on the farm, it can get weird, Jake. For those who don't know, it can get weird because there isn't really a big environment, and there won't be this year, I don't think, because the program is in this transitionary phase where Luck has taken the reins. Do you have any concern about that game?
Well, it's a home game for BYU. To be clear about that, it's
my fault. I switched that in Colorado in my head.
But to your point, you make a good point. There's a lot of things going on with the Stanford Cardinal right now, and I'm going to say it right now. If Bear Bachmeier were still in Palo Alto, he'd be Stanford starting quarterback right now. I got no problem saying that because he was already in the mix through the 2 or 3 weeks he was in spring camp before he left Stanford. So It's a big opportunity for BYU, and you're right. Stanford, they've already said that Frank Reich, this is a one-year deal, and they're going to look for a new head coach after this season. But that just screams to me that this is like full tear down to the studs mode, and Stanford could be in it absolutely in the woes of it, and BYU should take advantage of that.
And BYU should, building on my semi-incorrect point from earlier in the segment, be grateful they don't have to go to the farm, because it can get weird. At LaVell Edwards Stadium, that's a different matter. But the second half of the season is where BYU's campaign should get defined. Every coach will tell you one game at a time, most important games is negative, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Colorado is when things really start. I don't think West Virginia is on the same level as BYU this year. They're in their first year with Rich Rodriguez. But Colorado and then the back half is where it gets tough. Jake Retzloff last year didn't put up insane numbers, but had some pretty insane moments. The Oklahoma State, the Utah games late in those late game scenarios. Can Bear Bachmeier, as a true freshman, deliver those same sorts of results?
Well, that's what you're banking on, is the fact that he takes advantage of an early slate of easy games on paper. And then by the time you mentioned that tough stretch comes up at Colorado, and then you kick off a 4-game stretch against Utah, at Iowa State, at Texas Tech, and then home to TCU. Those 5 games are going to define the season for BYU. The nice part is 4 of those are games 7 through 10 for BYU. And you hope those first 6 games that he settles in. As you mentioned, a guy like Jake Retzloff didn't put up gaudy numbers, but when they needed him most, he made a big play after big play in close games. That's what you got to see from Bear Bachmeier, is he's taking advantage of the opportunities given to him. And the nice part is he's got a lot of veteran players around him, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and offensive line. They're going to have to buoy him up in multiple moments, it feels like.
Over on my Oregon pod, I do something called Spencer's Scale of Agreement, where a take is submitted, and then I give 1 to 10 how strongly I agree with it.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot for Jake's scale of agreement this year. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
You got to go 1 to 10, 1 being I don't agree at all, I couldn't disagree more, 10 being I've already given this take, why don't you listen to my show? Bear Bachmeier will have a better statistical season in 2025 than Jake Retzloff did in 2024.
Ooh, I will say 6 on that one. I think he can approximate the numbers that Jake Retzloff put up, because they're not by any means. He didn't put up 4,000 yards. He didn't put up 40 touchdowns. These numbers that Jake Retzloff had a season ago are imminently approachable by a guy like Bear Bachmeier, as young as he is. If he's everything that BYU coaches have believed him to be, and they say he is, he's got the capability of matching those numbers, if not exceeding them to by just a little bit. I'm not going to say he's going to blow by him, but if he exceeds them, BYU is going to be right there in the mix all season long.
When was the last time BYU started a true freshman at quarterback?
Well, so the thing is, they started a true freshman with Zach Wilson back in 2018 or 2019. But this is history, Spencer, because this is the first true freshman to start the season opener for BYU ever in 100 seasons of football. They've never done this before. They've had true freshmen play, but they have never started the very first game.
See, now that's so Portland State is going to be a historic game. That is BYU's been playing football a long time. I'm like trying to take that in. This has never happened before in the history of BYU football. And I also have to imagine no one's ever worn the number 47 behind center. Jake, tell me, how many games is it going to take you to get used to seeing number 47 behind center?
Well, I've been out to about 8 practices so far, and I'm still not used to it, having stood there and watched him wear it, and called signals and all that stuff. So I think it's going to take me multiple games to really get comfortable with it, but I'm not the only one. The nation is going to really kind of sit up and be like, hold on, there's this quarterback wearing 47. What's going on here? And the other thing about it, Spencer, the number 47 holds a lot of sway in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints community, because 1847 is when Mormon pioneers first rolled into the Salt Lake Valley. The Wi-Fi code for all LDS chapels, the church houses for Mormon churches for years, was Pioneer 47. There's some Spencer, there's some connections here that
okay. I might have to change my tune. BYU might be winning the national title this year.
And Spencer, we call the 24th of July, like the celebration up here, the parade we have in the state of Utah. It's like our second 4th of July. It's called the Days of 47. What else we got going on?
Oh, my goodness.
Come on now.
Okay. History is being made. Fate is being tempted. Welcome to BYU football with Jake Hatch of Locked On BYU Cougars. Great as always.